Alexa Nicholas lawsuit against Kat Tenbarge may actually end this fake news journalist and may put all the rest of these fake news journalists in fear. This is an absolute kill shot if it lands on Kat Tenbarge. Of course, this is Legal Mindset where we teach you to be your own judge. I'm Andrew Esquire, American attorney, and this is a fast facts version of the latest and greatest in the legal news. If you like the fast facts, make sure to smash the like button and leave a comment below. So some of you may not know about who these parties are and who these people are, but yet this is one of the most important lawsuits that I've seen in a while because it is such a kill shot, a headshot for what is and what has constituted fake news. Because many of us have seen internet journalism and we've seen the standards of internet journalism, which is essentially, hey, if something was retweeted by somebody I agree with or have an alignment with or have some sort of, bias towards, whether that's ideological, political, personal, etc., I'm going to just agree with that and call it news and slap my stamp of approval, my imprimatur on that. And hey, crank it out. And it's journalism because I call myself a journalist. Well, these days are numbered and we may actually see a return to journalistic ethics. God forbid, journalistic ethics where people actually check stories and check facts if this thing actually lands. So let's get into this and let's explain this lawsuit for you guys. Of course, if you want the full breakdown when I go through the complaint, you can check out my live version. This is just the brief version of the lawsuit. So who are the parties? You may not know Alexa Nicholas here. I remember her from The Walking Dead. Some of you may know her from Nickelodeon. However, she is a famous person. She's a celebrity, you might say. And of course, whenever there's a celebrity, there are those that seek to take them down, those that seek to mock them, follow them. As we all know, there's a huge market for going after celebrities. Everyone wants to dig up dirt on celebrities and try to find something bad about them, try to drag them down, try to hate on them, particularly if they're successful, helpful, and there's somebody perhaps that you disagree with or have some sort of dirt that you're trying to dig up on them. And of course, a professional dirt digger is Kat Tenbarge. Now, Kat Tenbarge, I remember Kat from back during the Depp versus Heard days. I got a nice tweet here back from those days with that umbrella guy, Tug, who's one of those folks, along with myself, that were covering the Depp versus Heard case. It's one of the big places that I came on the spot. And I remember this very, very clearly, where Kat, along with several others, were diehard Amber Heard stans, could not take any criticism of Amber Heard. They called it all misogyny. They called everything misogynistic, etc. And they basically used that case, that defamation case, using Johnny Depp's gender as a shield from any legitimate criticism or any sort of critique of the fact that they were not being impartial. They were, in fact, quite biased towards Ms. Heard. And in this case, because the plaintiff is not somebody that is Johnny Depp, it's a woman, right? They can't use the misogyny. This is a misogynistic case card. No. And there's no politics involved in this. So what happened here? What was the facts? Well, in this case, Kat Tenbarge is accusing Alexa, Miss Nicholas, of sending out sealed court documents related to a underage person. We'll say that. We're going to get into the facts as we read through the case. But let's just point out here that sealed documents, the word sealed means they are confidential. They're for the court. They're not supposed to be circulated out there. And they're accusing Alexa, she was accusing Alexa of leaking these documents. And you can see this here where she says, all this proves is that you, speaking of Ms. Nicholas, have been sending around sealed documents from Drake Bell's court case unprompted. As the text from you shows, I did not want them and you insisted. So trying to say that Nicholas was spreading these, maliciously and was trying to get this information out, this secret information out there, all in an effort to undermine his underage victim's testimony that you previously defended. So trying to say that, hey, you're trying to target a victim. Really, really vile stuff. And she continued by saying, hey, doesn't this doc involve minors? Are they redacted? Very curious to know because it's a big no-no. And then Kat Tenbarge doubling down saying, yes, they do. And nothing was redacted. Well, turns out Ms. Nicholas has her side of the story. Alexa Nicholas has her side of the story, saying Kat lied to everyone and defamed me with malicious intent. Very important because remember, as we went over yesterday, New York Times versus Sullivan, they're both public figures. It needs to be malicious intent, right? These documents were shared privately to her via a G drive when questioned by her, and they were not sealed. That's a massive difference. I sent them to show her that they were not sealed. They are public redacted records available here at clevelandohio.gov.qa.us. Here they are. So it's showing their public records, not sealed at all, right? And shared with her. And they were also redacted, right? So complete lies from Kat Tenbarge according to this. And the karma, the absolute karma, is this statement that Kat said in a unrelated tweet. She tweeted out this another time. But if you worked for a reputable news outlet and tweeted something blatantly false, impossibly false, you get disciplined, if not fired. Who is disciplining these bloggers? The legal system hasn't caught up to them, and they're causing real harm. It is so karmic because she is the blogger she is complaining about. She is the one with no accountability, who's on her own little platform, doing whatever she wants, saying things that are blatantly false, not researching them at all. And as a result, what do we have? We have a defamation case. Ms. Nicholas is suing Ms. Tenbarge. And whenever I see a case like this, where something is so blatantly, it's easy to find out. Once again, records are either sealed or they're not. It's a yes or no. There's no ambiguity about this. There's no really, hey, they were kind of sealed, sort of sealed. No, were they sealed or not? You're doubling, tripling, quadrupling, 10xing down. We're going to see all the comments. In fact, we're only going to see some of the comments. There's so many of them. It's a prime case for defamation. It ruins her reputation. It paints Miss Nicholas as someone who's bullying an underage victim, when in fact, if you look at the record, she in fact is one that supports victims. She's one that in fact is very much in support of victims and people that are in need. So this is absolutely the worst possible plaintiff to screw around with. And as I've said in many other cases, these people like Kat Tenbarge and others that defame people openly are going to eventually defame the wrong person. They're eventually going to defame a plaintiff like Miss Nicholas, who has money, motive, and is not able to be dismissed as misogynistic, political, etc. This is something purely factual. This is something purely legal. And because of that, this is very, very damning for Ms. Tenbarge. So let's read what the lawsuit's about here. The lawsuit is about a propagandist, I love that word, masquerading as a journalist. Defendant Catherine Kat Elizabeth Tenbarge defamed plaintiff Alexa Nicholas. Tenbarge falsely stated that Alexa publicly disclosed sealed court documents and police records to attack an underage victim claiming sexual abuse. This is vile. This is vile. Trying to paint Alexa as a person that is attacking an underage victim claiming SA. Disgusting. None of this was true. The court documents and police records were public, nor did Alexa, a well-known advocate for survivors of SA, attack the victim. Rather, Alexa reviewed court documents and police records, which brought the public narrative surrounding the claims of the underage victim into doubt. Exactly. So once again, you're using public documents, right? You're using public redacted documents from the court itself. That's completely on the table. We use on our channel and many other legal channels all across the internet. In fact, not just lawyers, everybody across the internet is using court records. I use court records all the time. If the court is putting that out there publicly, that's fair game. That's public record. That's the definition of public record, is a record that the court is putting out for everybody to use. So, to advance this false narrative and gain false information, or rather obtain a false negative information on Alexa at all costs, Tenbarge facilitated Alexa's stalker to violate the restraining order issued against him. Facilitated her stalker. Further, she relied on anonymous and other clearly biased sources to advance her narrative. As they do. Once again, they only listen to their circle. They only stay within their retweets. They only stay within what, the safety of Blue Sky, or the safety or wherever else they are, right? Their hug box, right? When Alexa provided Tenbarge information demonstrating that the court documents and police records in question were public, Tenbarge ignored the information. This is maliciousness. When it's clear, when all you have to do is click a link, that is maliciousness. You should know better. You've seen the information, you've got it, you have it, you've ignored it, and you're continuing your BS narrative. The lawsuit is to hold Tenbarge accountable for intentionally and knowingly prioritizing the dissemination of false narratives over the truth to advance her public standing. This is the quintessential defamation case. What did she say? So here's the allegations in the cause of action, right? And this is just some of the things she said. So this is what Tenbarge, this, once again, this fake news journalist is saying all this proves is that you've been sending around sealed documents from the case unprompted. As a text from you shows, I did not want them, and you insisted, all in an effort to undermine the underage victim's testimony you previously defended. This was before I confirmed with the Cleveland court that these documents were not publicly available. And before I opened the files you sent me and saw they were unredacted and bore no evidence of being submitted to the court in the first place, it was very disturbing. No. If you actually confirm with the court, you would find that what she sent you was not indeed sealed. You did no such thing. That would be called a FOIA request. It would take years and months to get the documents back, and they'd be heavily redacted if you ever received them at all. That's not, if they're in the court records, they would, anyways. They would certainly not send hundreds of docs containing private info like you sent me. First, she said she got them in court. Then the police. So interesting. Courts and police officers famously love to give random people hundreds of documents concerning alleged child SA. It's famously very legal to tweet live stream images from those documents. Actually, if it's a court document and it is public on the court website, that would be the definition of public record. So yes, Kat Tenbarge, you are very wrong about that. Very, very wrong about that. Notably, the documents you can access to this method are not the document you sent me. They are public records, around 30 pages, containing no PI. You sent me hundreds of documents from the case itself. All my sources are survivors who went to Alexa for help and were betrayed by her. So calling her a person who betrayed SA survivors, that is disgusting. I mean, and once again, just absolutely vile to create that sort of narrative. Absolutely ridiculous. They shouldn't even have those sealed documents. So once again, getting back to that, saying everything was sealed when clearly we're looking at a case where it looks like, based on what we see right here, these documents were unsealed. So what's the prayer for relief? Plaintiff Alexa Nicholas is asking for compensatory damages that are going to be in no event less than $150K. So over $150,000. When I say consequences, this is FA meets FO. Right? This is a serious one. Also, punitive damages to punish and deter Tenbarge's misconduct. Absolutely appropriate if it's malicious, if it's willful, if it's something she could have corrected easily. And of course, Alexa's costs, attorney's fees, that's going to be hundreds of thousands, and other relief the court deems just. This is an absolute kill shot for Kat Tenbarge in the respect that this is going to cut off this pipeline of, hey, we're just going to put out a narrative. We're going to push this narrative because this is what we want to push. And this has been coming for a very, very long time for not just Kat Tenbarge, but many journalists like this. And hopefully other journalists out there can take this as a lesson to perhaps check things a little closer before they go to push a false narrative. But I want to know what you guys think in the comments below, and I will catch you on the next one.